Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another Black Ops Cold War, and this time also a Modern Warfare story video put together into one. This is the one a lot of you have been asking for, the explanation of the crossover between Modern Warfare and Black Ops Cold War. And it is a doozy, and it's actually generated around a bad character, a villain, known as Imran Zakhaev, a character who you run into in the campaign in a really big way, and basically he is the character, the glue that ties everything together. Now, there's also some other references throughout the campaign of Modern Warfare that we're going to check out too, and even weirder, there's actually a tie to a different Call of Duty series. Not a Modern Warfare game, not a Black Ops game, but another one, and we're going to look at that closer towards the end of the video. So lately with these story videos, you guys have been absolutely killing it with the likes. In the last video, I asked for 15,000 likes. We are at like 22,000 likes right now. So if you enjoy this video, you want to see more story videos like this one, be sure to hit that like button. Let's aim for 15,000. Once again, it'd be insane if you guys can do it. So if you enjoy these type of videos, be sure to hit that like button. So today we answer the question of how Modern Warfare and Black Ops Cold War are tied together. But first, let's hear from today's video sponsor. So today's video is sponsored by War Thunder, an online military vehicle combat game, and this game is actually free to play on Xbox, PC, PlayStation, and the new consoles as well. Now, the reason why we're talking about them today is because of the new game update called New Power. This is to celebrate their 8th anniversary and over 34 million players. Now, with this update, they are bringing an entire new game engine to the game to really bring your combat to that next level. Now, if you played the game before, you know that you can fight with vehicles like airplanes, ground vehicles like tanks, and even take the battle to the waters with some naval ships as well. Now, with this update, they're adding a new season and battle pass system where you can unlock things like vehicle camos simply by playing the game. They've also implemented a new interactive hangar where you can go inspect and look at all of your different vehicles in the game as well. Now, you may have played War Thunder before, but with this update, it's entirely changing the way the game plays. So you want to check out the game, if you've played it before, want to give it another shot, or you're just getting into it for the first time, feel free to click that link down in the description, check out the game, and like I said before, you can play it for absolutely free. So click that link down in the description, check it out, and thank you War Thunder for sponsoring the video. So previously in Warzone, we were introduced to the crossover between Black Ops Cold War and Modern Warfare, and we learned that essentially the Black Ops series is now combining with the Modern Warfare series to create one continuous timeline, and we're going to dive into that timeline later in the video. Now, this stems in Black Ops Cold War with the introduction of a character by the name of Imran Zakhaev. You were introduced to him in the mission called Desperate Measures, where you infiltrate the KGB headquarters playing as a character named Dmitry Belikov. Essentially, you get called to a big round table with the higher-ups within the KGB, and you see some, well, let's just say, familiar faces.
There's a mole within the KGB. The committee wants someone from the first chief directorate to oversee Colonel Kravchenko's investigation. If you've not met him already, this is Imran Zakhaev.
Thank you, Secretary Gorbachev. And thank you all for welcoming me with open arms. I can think of no greater tragedy than a home violated from the inside. The trust and love within a family is sacred.
Apparently. Not everyone shares your beautiful sentiments.
So I can't skip over the fact that at this round table, it's not just Imran Zakhaev. You're also there with Gorbachev, but also, and in my opinion, more importantly, Lev Kravchenko. Now, if you don't know who Kravchenko is, he was essentially the second in command of the bad guys in Black Ops 1. Essentially, he was working alongside Nikita Dragovich, the character who you kill at the end of Black Ops 1. Now, similarly, in Black Ops 1, there is a scene where Woods, Mason are both fighting with Kravchenko. At this time, Woods pulls a grenade off of Kravchenko, the two of them jump out of a window, and seemingly both of them die. Now, as we know, they don't both die because one, Woods is in this game, and also now we know that Kravchenko is alive and well and once again in this game. You may also notice that Gorbachev called him Colonel Kravchenko, so now he is a colonel within the KGB or within the Spetsnaz army. The second takeaway from this interaction, and I think a lot of people have skipped over this, is that this is Imran Zakhaev's first time within the KGB headquarters. We know this because he thanks Gorbachev for inviting him in on this investigation. Essentially, the investigation to find the mole inside of the KGB. And that is why we see him in on this mission. So this is technically his first time working with basically the Russian CIA.
Comrade Belikov, as head of security, I understand you've practically exhausted yourself trying to unearth this mole. How has that gone?
Until the mole is found, I want security increased around the bunker. Zakayev, do you have any recommendations?
We should restrict bunker access. We also want to cultivate closer relationships with all of you. I want to know your hopes, your fears, your ambitions.
Now, we get to hear a really creepy statement from Zakayev that he wants to learn everyone's hopes, dreams, ambitions, and we later will find out why exactly that is. Now, how does this relate to modern warfare? Essentially, this is Mr. Z. He is the character that we see in many images, in Spec Ops, and in Warzone in Modern Warfare. But there was something released, I believe it was around March, by Infinity Ward discussing the Zakayevs, and specifically discussing where's Imran Zakayev and how his son, Viktor Zakayev, plays into the story. And this is what you need to understand. So the article that Activision and Infinity Ward put out was specifically on Viktor Zakayev, but we actually learn a lot about Imran throughout this. First of all, we find out that Viktor Zakayev was born sometimes in the 70s and was a teenager within the 80s. Makes sense. But what we find out is that Viktor's father, Imran, was a high-ranking official in the Interior Ministry under the communist regime. So this is basically telling us what is going on within that cutscene. He was in the inside of communist Russia. Now, he says, as a boy, Viktor had the rare access to tunnels and bunker system of the Eastern Bloc. This is exactly what they are talking about in the cutscene. The bunkers. They want to restrict access to the bunkers to limit access to whoever the mole is.
We should restrict bunker access.
And that limited bunker access could very well play into the bunkers in Warzone that of course you need special keycards for, or even to complete an Easter egg to actually get into. Now later in the article we find out that Imran finally passed away in the year 2011, and it's believed that it had nothing to do with war or battle, but rather he passed away because of cancer. That being said, something that is very, very strange about this is the year that Call of Duty 4 takes place is in the year 2011. And during Call of Duty 4, at the end of the game, well, this is what happened. Now, we will dive into that a little bit more later on, but it's important to note that those dates do match up. Him dying in 2011 and the end of Call of Duty 4 taking place in 2011. We'll get into that more in a minute. Now, we find out that after the passing of Imran Zakayev, Viktor reportedly used what was left of his father's loyalist contacts to smuggle weapons from Eastern Europe to Africa and the Middle East. Essentially, he used his contacts to be a weapons smuggler, and it's assumed that Zakayev Arms, the company behind the weapons smuggling, was also what Imran Zakayev did to get into the inside of the FSB. So later in this mission, we find out that Imran Zakayev was actually brought in by Kravchenko as they're having this secret conversation after Bell sneaks in to the KGB.
Найди Беликова. Хочу поговорить с ним сам.
Это точно он, если верить чуваку.
And then the last scene where we see Zakayev in Cold War is in the elevator. When Bell and Adler are going up the elevator disguised as KGB agents, Zakayev kind of confronts them.
No, лица. Когда вы прибыли? Ах да, разумеется. То ваш командир. Я не расслышал.
So as you saw, you can give him the correct answers and then he leaves the elevator, but in other situations you have to knock him out when he becomes suspicious of you. This doesn't really play much into the story, but that's the last time we see Zakhaev. Now, what this tells us is essentially a timeline for the Modern Warfare / Black Ops universe. So this is what we're looking at. It starts in 1968 with Woods and Mason in Black Ops 1. After this, we have Black Ops Cold War with Adler, Bell, Mason, Woods, the game that we just experienced. After this, we have Black Ops 2 taking place in the year 1986. Then we have quite a large gap before Modern Warfare 2019/2020 actually takes place. In this, we see the son, Viktor Zakhaev, take over for his father, Imran Zakhaev, and at this time, we see several links throughout Warzone of Perseus, Imran Zakhaev, and Viktor Zakhaev all working together to combat the West. After this, the story would once again resume with the second part of the Black Ops 2 story in the year 2025. Then Black Ops 4 takes place in 2045, and Black Ops 3 in 2065. So a little bit confusing after Modern Warfare, but that is essentially the timeline. Now, it's also important to note that the only Modern Warfare game that is canon in this timeline is Modern Warfare 2019. The developers have said this, the lore says this. However, there is a little bit of a twist with this, because we also know that some things from the first 3 Modern Warfare games are canon within Modern Warfare 2019. For example, what we hear at the very end of the Modern Warfare campaign.
Zakhaev wants Barkov's throne.
I almost buried him in Pripyat with Macmillan.
That was the father. This is the son, Viktor.
Lovely family.
This is Captain Price reminiscing about nearly killing Imran Zakhaev and shooting off his arm in Pripyat. This event takes place in Call of Duty 4, one of the games that is apparently not canon in this timeline. This tells us that a lot of the events of previous games took place in the past in this timeline, but not all of them. For example, you'd think that he would talk about killing Imran Zakhaev at the end of Call of Duty 4 in this talk with Kate Laswell, but no mention is made of that. It's just the talk of the events of Pripyat. So some of the events from the original 3 Modern Warfares are canon. We just don't know what ones at this point, and maybe that will get cleared up with the next Modern Warfare game, potentially Modern Warfare 2 to come out next year. Now, what I can tell you is based off of the events and knowing that Pripyat was an event that happened in this timeline means that 2 characters that have not been brought into the game yet will be coming, and those are Makarov and Yuri. 2 major characters in Modern Warfare 3. So we haven't seen them yet, but maybe those will be in Modern Warfare 2 as well. Now, the other thing that we found in Black Ops Cold War is Burger Town. Now, this may seem like a small detail. However, Burger Town has never been in a Black Ops game ever. Only Modern Warfare games and 2 other games that we're going to dive into in a second. So, what this tells us is that this is just another example of the crossover. Now, there's a little Easter egg with Burger Town where the mascot, Bubby, you can go over to him, press a button on him, and he says some a little bit inappropriate things about Burger Town to you.
Would you like to make that a super duper mega combo? May I recommend the Artery Buster?
Now, as I mentioned, Burger Town was always a Modern Warfare thing. Of course, a really big thing within Modern Warfare 2 is where it really came to shine. However, we have seen other games with this as well. In fact, Advanced Warfare actually had an Easter egg on one of the zombies map that actually Bubby was actually involved in. So this may actually tell us that Advanced Warfare is also a part of this timeline as well. Furthermore, Infinite Warfare also had some things involving Burger Town as well, including weapon charms, as you're seeing here. But on top of this, there is another tie-in with Roman Barkov being one of the main bad guys within Modern Warfare. There's another character in Infinite Warfare who is also Russian and one of the bad guys called Radoslav Barkov that you are sent to assassinate. Seemingly, these 2 characters could be connected via the last name, and also Infinite Warfare could be built into this timeline as well. I've also made discussion in the past of ghosts having many ties to Modern Warfare. On top of this, we know that Call of Duty World at War is when Reznov was introduced to the Treyarch games, so World at War is also a part of this timeline as well. So possibly this could be the overall timeline that we know of right now for this coagulation of games. This is not confirmed. This is based off of small amounts of speculation from small evidence. Possible, probably not likely, but possible. This is the confirmed timeline that we know for sure. All of these games are in the same timeline. Burger Town is in Modern Warfare. We have World at War with Reznov in it, and the rest of the games, of course, are all of the Black Ops storyline. So this all fits in together. This is the confirmed timeline that we know 100%. Now, I have got some questions whether or not Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 should or are in this timeline. And actually, in Cold War, there is a small amount of evidence linking these three games together, specifically with some of the operators. So if you want to see me go over that in a separate video, like I said before, if you want to see these story videos continue, make sure you hit that like button. This has been the full crossover explained. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and if you did, like I said, be sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, want to stay up to date on all my videos, we're getting closer and closer to 1 million subscribers. I would love to hit it before the end of the year, so if you want to be a part of that, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. If you have any more theories, ideas, or questions revolving around this, feel free to ask them or let me know down in the comments. But as always, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.